Good evening. This is Pastor Wilbur Joseph of House of Praise Church of the Living God. Just coming to you today to share my thoughts with you as the nation mourns the loss of Mr. George Floyd. I got an opportunity to see the funeral and see the march, the protests, and all the things that have taken place in our country over the past few weeks. Let us continue to do everything that we do in a positive manner and make sure that our actions are nonviolent and that we use our power to vote to change legislation and to change our leadership. What happened to Mr. George Floyd was a tragic, but it was also a blessing in disguise, because God is going to use his death as a stepping stone for change, not just in the United States of America, not just on the police force, but to make changes all over the world for the human race. Mr. Floyd was a human being above all things. He was a father, a son, he was a neighbor, he was an employee, he was a person. And the way he died was tragic, and it was uncalled for. I happen to be in the security field for the last 30 years of my employment. 23 years with the company I'm with now, and 5 years with a previous company. And we deal with aggressive patients all the time. Some that are on drugs and that have strength beyond measure, especially when that adrenaline is pumping and they're in another state of mind. I've dealt with psych patients, I've dealt with aggressive patients. We had to detain them for their own safety and others, and to medicate them, assist in medicating them. And we have no training that's nowhere near what a police officer training or academy is like. The training that we get is annually, 12 hours of training how to deal with an aggressive person or patient or visitor. And with that training, we're allowed to use force, but force to subdue an individual. And I have to had in the past, in years, had to deal with patients that were enormously strong. We had one guy that was breaking police handcuffs. That leather restraints couldn't even hold him. And among 5 of us male officers, we detained him, subdued him, and assisted the medical staff with giving him the treatment that he needed. And I'm only a security guard. A police officer goes through high levels of training, not only to use deadly force, but also how to subdue an individual. And what I witnessed on that video was an abuse of power. Police officers are trained to deal with combative and aggressive persons on every level. And when it is something that is beyond their control, they'll call in the SWAT team, who are another form of police agency, but at a high level of training. With the training that a police officer receives in the academy, during their time, he is able, with the assistance of other officers, to subdue a person that is unarmed. It should never come to death of a person that is unarmed. We're talking about an individual that is unarmed, already on the ground. Even if they needed to call backup, they could have done that. But to take a life and consider this man's life as meaningless is very heartbreaking, because police officers are empowered to do a job and entrusted to do a job, and they have special powers that are beyond the average citizen. And they are sworn to uphold the law and treat all persons as equal. And this did not happen in the case of Brother George Floyd. So we just want to continue to pray for the family and pray for our citizens of the United States, that we will come together and be on one accord and make positive changes. And that is use our power to vote, to change officials, circumstances, and our environment in a positive manner. Don't let the life of Brother Floyd be in vain, but use that voting power. And when you see something, say something. Stand against injustice at all levels, whether it be in your family, on the job, in the community, in your neighborhood. Get involved. There's always something you can do. You can't do everything, but you can do something. And I just want to encourage you as a Christian, as a man of God, to do the godly thing. What would Jesus do? That's what you ask yourself. And what should I do? It's no longer a time to talk, but to put forth action. Prayer is good, but it's not the solution to everything. And I just want to pray for the George family. I want to pray for the police officers that killed Brother George, because he needs to be forgiven. I want to pray for his family, what they're facing. The Bible teaches us that we should love our enemies and pray for those that despitefully use us. And I know it's not popular at a time like this, but we have to forgive that officer that did wrong to our brother. And then we have to turn them over unto the authorities and let justice prevail. And then we got to pray that God would heal our country, heal our land, and touch the hearts of other people to get involved and to take action in a positive manner and be nonviolent and use your power to vote to change the world and to change our circumstances. We need not take the law in our own hands, but respect the law and pray for our brothers and sisters that go out into the streets to protect us and our neighborhoods and our country. They need prayer and encouragement and uplifting as well. So I just want to encourage you to do the right thing. Once again, we love you at House of Praise. We look forward to sending forth a positive message that could touch the hearts of all, that we may all become involved. Jesus said, a divided nation or house shall not stand, but be brought to desolation. He said, a nation that is righteous will be exalted. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. When we're divided, we're not strong. We're not unified. And healing cannot come to our country unless we unite on the positive level. And I pray that God will continue to bless the United States of America.